Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan here with a hot take on Trump and the future. Now, he signed this COVID relief package, whatever you want to call it. Um, and a lot of people are saying, oh, Trump cucked, man, he cucked. Yeah, he did. But, he did for a reason. He's got a choice here. If Trump is going out of office and Biden is stepping in, does he really want to be known as the guy who cut off everybody's benefits? That's what's going to happen. Now, you might get that anyway, but he made a big deal about this. And what he did was put out this statement, which mitigates it somewhat. Now, you might not feel it mitigates it enough. I would like to see him flip everybody off. Personally, I don't need the $600, and I don't need business relief or whatever. I wouldn't get it anyway. So he writes in a statement, as president, I've told Congress that I want far less wasteful spending and more money going to the American people in the form of $2,000 checks per adult and $600 per child. Then he talks about the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. Essentially, what it is, it allows him to redline the budget, send it back to Congress, signed, and says, here are my suggestions for all the stuff you should cut. He also suggests, besides the $2,000, he wants 230 eliminated or modified. He wants the fraud investigated. But the Democrats are already saying, "Oh, we're not going to do that." Okay. How's that look? Again, it's about the optics. It looks horrible. If these guys pass the bill without cutting anything, Congress and the rhinos are going to own it. They're going to own every bit of this bill. And none of it's going to be on Trump. He's got it here in writing. I told him to cut all this stuff out. I told him it was all wasteful. I didn't want people to die and get evicted and lose their business. This was better than nothing. I think that's the way he's looking at it. And if he's president after January 6th or 20th or whatever, he might be able to forestall some of the bigger items like the stuff for foreign aid or, certainly the gender programs in Pakistan. I mean, look, that is going to be a cudgel by which Trump can beat them over the head for the next 4 years, as should all the Republicans. But they won't, because some of them will vote for it. And those that vote for it are the rhinos. Those are the rhinos. The Trumpicons, whatever you want to call them, won't vote for it. They'll say it's too much money. Rand Paul won't vote for it, I'm sure. We'll see. Maybe he might. I don't know. Yeah, it's an optics win for him. It's not a great win. It's not a strong win. It still makes him look bad in the eyes of his supporters. But in the eyes of the general public, it's an optics win, because the general public says, well, he's not that heartless, and Congress can cut all the pork out. And then when the Congress does it and doesn't raise the money, they can be like, wait a minute, you guys effed this up. Trump told you what to do. And we all agreed with that. Why aren't you doing it? What answer are they going to have? The answer is they're a bunch of a-holes. And this is what they have to look forward to. Washington Post, Democrats gloomy about populist GOP in 2024. As well they should be. Look, I know lots of you out there are saying it's Trump or nothing, and we're all going to go down the tubes unless Trump gets in. Not necessarily. No. These guys are going to do damage, just like Antifa did a lot of damage, but Antifa also said they were going to topple the state. And they followed that strategy. Were they successful? No. Are they going to topple Biden? Absolutely not. Not even going to come close. In fact, they're going away. Biden's going to stomp all those idiots. And they're going to be, what will remain will be like the equivalent of like the Weather Underground, the hardcore tens of members that, run around the country with machine guns training out in the woods and until they commit some sort of crime and end up in prison or dead. But the party strategists understand what Trump has unleashed. They are losing ground in these audiences. the black vote, the Latino vote, the Jewish vote. They're losing them all. Because, well, I mean, for the Jewish vote, it's pretty obvious what happened in New York. I mean, if I was Jewish, I would never vote for another Democrat again. I mean, I'm already on board with that. But, man, if I was Jewish, I just, Cuomo and de Blasio's behavior has been absolutely psychotic. I've never seen anything like that. I've never seen. I mean, in New York, of all places, I've never seen anything like that. That was just absolutely terrible. And, Washington Post calls his America First platform poison. Yeah, that's what globalists do. They think nationalism is poison. Oh, it's poison. It's poison to want your own country to succeed. That's poison. I have stock in other countries, damn it. So yeah, I mean, the thing about Democrats is and people on the left in general, they constantly overreach. They've been overreaching and overreaching. They overreached to get Biden elected, and they burned up every favor they possibly can. Now they have to clean up the mess. Biden can't clean up the mess. It's just going to get worse. People are going to demand election reform of some kind. So what do you think the Democrats are going to do? They're going to go, okay, let's do some investigations, but nothing too good. Just some cosmetic, find some people we can blame this on. And all those Democrats who were running around harvest balloting and doing whatever they were doing, they're going to jail. Because you're going to be the sacrificial lamb that they trot out. Here's the guy. Here's the guy who caused all the problems. It's not that Trump won. It's just that this guy caused a lot of problems. Caused a lot of problems. But don't worry, we're sending him to prison. And he's going to be like, wait a minute, I spent my whole life trying to help the Democrats win these elections. I went out of my way to do all this stuff so Trump wouldn't win. You're throwing me in prison. This is totally unfair. I'm going to speak out and talk about the Democrats above me who hired me. Oh, I wouldn't do that. Understand, you're in a very corrupt system. Once they get you in prison, it'll be too late. It'll be way too late. And you're probably going to have to trade off not keeping your mouth shut to get a lesser sentence anyway. So good luck to you, fraudsters. And I mean that in the sarcastic way possible. So, Trump's support isn't going away. A few people are going to be hardcore about it and black-pilled. Oh, we're all doomed. But his support's not going away. And that's what these guys are really worried about, because in the next 4 years, I think 2022, it's likely the Republicans will take the House. Now, you might say, they already own the voting system. Not really. They don't. They don't have it locked down. There's still going to be investigations. And even if those investigations and reforms are relatively superficial, I will point you towards Ohio and Florida. They were pretty superficial there too, and Trump destroyed the Democrats there. It's because even superficial reform will, make some changes. It will still make it harder to cheat. And if you really are concerned about election malfeasance, and you should be, in these areas, you should volunteer if you're a resident and replace these Democrats. In fact, if a bunch of them go under the bus, then they're going to need people anyway. So next time when Trump runs, you got to be ready. You got to be ready to take back everything. We also have 4 years to get state legislatures back in line to appoint their own electors. Now, Pennsylvania gave that up, a few other places. If we take back more state legislatures and they take back their power, and we take back some more governorships in those states, 2024 is looking pretty good. Pretty good. And you're basically looking at 4 years of the Democrats bumbling around and calling us all racist. While, there's going to be this fight between the progressives who want to call everybody racist, and they want all this ridiculous nonsense, that critical race theory in the workplace and all that kind of crap, and Biden trying to appease them while trying to do his normal sort of neoliberal stuff, which is bomb people and open the borders and do all this other stuff, which people also don't like. So they're going to be scrutinized if you don't go back to sleep from a lot of different areas. And he's gonna be fighting his own people, and he's going to be fighting the populist movement on the GOP side, and the GOP is going to be fighting the populist movement because Trump could very well come out on January 6th. Let's say Pence throws him over and says, "Oh, Joe Biden's the president. See ya." Trump comes out and says, "Hey, that's it. We're done with the GOP. It's now the America First Party. If you're in on this, join my party. Walk away from the GOP." Yeah, that would be something. The GOP would be dead in the water. Dead in the effing water. They would cease to exist as a party, as a bunch of people in Congress would likely just jump right over. I would say, probably like a couple of dozen, mostly in the House, a couple of senators maybe. And then the rest of them, well, they're going to have a choice to make. Do I placate my right-wing voter base by basically doing everything Trump says and voting that way just so I could get reelected as a Republican? Or do I join them, or do I just retire because I can't possibly win? Yeah, I think that could be the move. Could be. I don't know. On top of the fact, Trump will just be around tweeting, and whether it's on Twitter or Parler. You could try to marginalize him all you want, but he's world famous and he's an ex-president, so good luck with that, I suppose. He'll still be the leader of the movement, whatever it is. So yeah, that's the one upside to all this. Yeah, Trump might lose, and this might be his last hurrah, and he really was just trying to throw you a bone on the way out the door, so the Democrats would have to suck it all up, all the blame, but let's hope. Let's hope he pulls a rabbit out of his hat on January 6th. I hope so. Fingers crossed that Pence comes through, but I'm not holding my breath.